Last time on Dice Funk.
There's going to be a cultural exchange festival with other nearby settlements in light of the diplomatic situation we now have with the Coral Kingdom. So, because of the death of Seneschal Kilpatrick, we are going to need some allies, and we need to make some friends. We are going to need some friends in the future. So, I've taken the liberty of signing you all up to contribute to the festival. Let me look at the roster here. Yes. Dry people. I'm going to need Stranger, your catering. Lillian, entertainment. Hialeah, speechwriting. Let's see, Wet team. Boyce, we need some sort of construction for some sort of event center. Barbella, we need religious outreach, and Reaper security. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure you're all going to do great.
Reaper raises her hand. Do I get to kill people?
If you're going to kill someone, Reaper, make sure you do it in defense of a foreign diplomat to impress them and make them want to be our friends.
No promises. Can I start beating up people now?
Actually, I think this is like a comedy bit I'm turning into a narrative point. Are we holding a martial arts tournament? It seemed like, Reaper, you were pretty excited about the idea of doing some kind of solution to our issue via fisticuffs. If Boyce wants to turn the recreation center, if you want to build a stadium for the visiting diplomats, and we can do a dark tournament arc, that's certainly on the table.
Well, I think that might be unfair to the other competitors. Reaper's killed billions, haven't you?
What? Who told you? Yes, I have. I've killed that many.
I don't know how I know about the clown juice, but I do know that I know about the clown juice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that alone is just a great title for something. I know about the clown juice is just like...
Here is the entirety of my knowledge of understanding of Fago. I once, in the background of something, watched, I think it was a clip from like a fighting game tournament, where in between rounds, someone was rating every flavor of Fago one by one with a very invested crowd behind them. I've never seen Fago when I've been in America, but I'm aware it's the clown posse drink.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's mostly a Michigan phenomenon, which is where that band is from. So they kind of popularized it. You can get it if you want to, but I don't see it when I go to the grocery store, on the East Coast or whatever, unless you go out of your way.
Ooh, but I can get it on Walmart, apparently. Walmart.com. I can get a variety pack.
You sure can. I know plenty about Fago because I grew up in Toledo, which is close enough to Michigan to might as well be in Michigan. And yeah, Fago's one of those Detroit things along with like Little Caesar's Pizza and the like.
Wow, reading up the production history, it had a limited shelf life. Apparently, it was really impure. It was like truly an elixir until, quote, company chemists later resolved this issue by installing a filtration system.
They just put a Brita filter into the factory
Austin,
that fixed it.
Every word you say about this liquid makes me desire it more.
It's a cotton candy flavor.
Like, I get the impression that if I mixed like 3 or 4 of these together and drank it, I might see through time.
Or die.
Yeah.
It's one of the two.
Yeah, it's either or.
Briefly die, see through time, come back.
Yeah, we have to go back in time to when Coca-Cola had cocaine in it, when Pepsi was called Brad's drink, and when Fago was apparently filled with organic detritus. Incredible.
I do still think Brad's drink is the most, like, I love that as a name for a drink. It's like, no, this one's mine. Stop buying it. Get out. It's my drink.
Oh yeah, an early root beer was made with sassafras root, which is poison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all drink poison now. That's not that different.
Yeah, exactly. No one's impressed by that anymore.
So we got on this topic of Fago because of the character El Fago, who has been built up over the last arc. You have transported his body to the Well of Resurrection. He's back now. In fact, we're going to open up this new wet arc with you all waiting for him to arrive. He told you to meet him out on the plains of Zolfo to talk about construction for the cultural exchange event. So the three of you kind of standing around, paint me this picture of you waiting for the arrival of Elfago, the Thrycreen, which is kind of an insect person, so 4 arms. He's based on an isopod, which is a kind of roly-poly sea creature, but he's pretty cool looking. I'm excited.
So, important question. What type of crab is that then? Okay, that's the important question.
Not a crab, not a lobster, not a shrimp. I will not do this with you. Everyone's taking damage.
Barbella has heard about this Thrycreen's forearms and has decided to get a lot of extra reps in because like no one's going to arrive with bigger forearms than her.
Incredible. Something that's really developed between these two parties is every time you have a moment, everything turns to Barbella and her preoccupations with, weightlifting and riddles. Or on the other side, if there's a moment of dead air, Dan will start, quizzing me on the minutia of running our church. She'll be like, yeah, well, what about the taxes? How are we going to collect a tithe? It's just like such opposite interests.
I was listening to the sneaky cut of like the start of the last dry arc, and I was like, you're getting dangerously close to a whole episode where none of ostensibly your side's plot arrives. You're not gonna get into that tree. There's too much tree minutia.
I figure that Boyce is sort of doing like some pre-planning. With this is rather important, and depending on the style of festival or fair, I have a couple of options of names to call this. By the way, Austin will reveal that later on. But there's various structures logistically, questions of like, okay, for entertainment, are this going to be like a stage? Is there going to be some hydrodynamic sculpture, maybe the arena, coliseum, stadium, whatever it is, and basically leafing over various schematics and having Gowdy go around with him to like sort of map out like where things might be, almost like trying to diagram on the seabed, as it were.
I think at some point Reaper started by shadowboxing, and now she's just very annoyed that people keep telling her where to go. So now she's just actively punching a wall.
But yeah, I think that Boyce there's a nervous energy. It's a large-scale project. There's somebody to help out. He's doing quite a bit to sort of make sure he makes a good first impression about like the planning phase over here.
Barbella is going to come over and go, so this is the thing that you're really into, right?
Yep, that is, well, what I studied in school and all that.
Do you do a lot of practice of it these days?
Not as much as I'd like. I think the circumstances here is going to be a bit of time to sort of flex the muscles up here, as he points to his head, a bit. But things have been kind of stalled for a while due to a lack of resources.
Well, I hope your practice has helped more than mine. My riddles are still coming along slowly, but I'm sure you've... and Barbella stops and has to search her head for what exactly it is that we're talking about. I hope that your drawings of houses have gone well.
Yeah, sure. I think the plans are coming along okay, but I guess we'll know better when Elfago shows up and we can kind of review the plans for all this here.
I googled what is the underwater equivalent of a tumbleweed because I was trying to have the visual of one rolling by, and Google seems to think a sea anemone is, and I don't know about that one. I mean, I'm open to this, but it doesn't seem right.
I was gonna say, isn't it a tumble seaweed?
Yeah, I mean,
this is Australia's fault, basically. I see an Australian Geographic article saying the wandering sea anemone is the tumbleweed of the ocean. It's just like, that's an assertion.
Yeah. Evidence, please. Citation needed. Also, I tried searching this on YouTube. First result, sticking finger into sea anemone. Leave them alone. What are you doing?
I see a separate article about the walking fish, which let me see if the picture here shows up. Look at this.
I'm watching a video. This is less of a tumbleweed. This is more of like a thing doing a little shimmy. It's just having a little hula dance through the water.
Yeah, this isn't really what I'm going for. I guess it just is like a clump of seaweed taken by the tide that rolls by rather than this. I do love this guy's style. This anemone is shaking it and keeping it real, and I like that for him. Mm-hmm. Just throwing it back. I love this for him. Eventually, though, you see in the distance what you think is another tumbleweed, but it is an arthropod rolled up like a roly-poly bug and just slowly rolling towards you, taking its time. And I'm going to put the icon for this isopod in here. You already know what it is. Got some Pokemon fans in the call, so not a surprise.
It's a Galissapod.
Yep. So I didn't come up with the idea of anthropomorphic isopod first. Game Freak beat me to it, and they nailed it. First try. Fucking incredible design.
See, now I can understand why you're concerned about like the arms, because the plating there just makes the arms look so big. You gotta like, listen, my arms are this big even without plating. How about that, you know?
Yep, he rolls up to you, kind of unrolls like the droideka from Star Wars, you know, when they come out of the ball, and then their arms are just like akimbo and ready for action. And he regards the three of you. Do you say anything first, or do you wait for him?
If there's like not an immediate thing, like there's gonna be a tip at the cap from a Boyce, like, well, top of the morning or top of the wake to you there, Alfego. Hopefully you've been recovering well and are, well, up and at 'em.
Yes, my staminas are recovered. Thank you.
Reaper is gonna walk up and say, "My name is XX Black Ebon Reaper XX, and I was the one who brought you back, so I believe that means you owe me your life."
Is that how this economy works? I thought I was working it off. Now
I have no idea, but you should do what I say.
All right, true to your fucking promise at the beginning, Quinn, roll intimidation on every character you meet.
Either fear for your life or you owe me your life. Those are the only two conditions.
Oh my gosh, I forgot they changed this. I got a 21.
Oh no. Suddenly Alfego rolls up real quick into a ball, just snaps like an armadillo, and is fully armored, and you just hear the voice from inside say, "You cannot get me in here."
Why would I need to?
You cannot make me do anything.
Everyone in this town's weird, except for me. I'm the only normal one.
I can stay in here for months. I am very efficient.
Can I do a nature check? Can they? I feel like at some point food has to be inserted into them.
Uh-huh.
I mean, look, it's animals. At this point in my life, I've just assumed there's an animal out there that can do everything. Nothing is impossible for them.
Wow.
16 for nature.
Nice.
So isopods are the same kind of creature as pill bugs, which I know can go without food for quite a while. Let's see here. They can go up to 3 months without food, but can't okay, yeah. So they are really hardy. So I think he is only sort of bluffing that if someone tries to force him to do something, he'll just roll into a ball and wait them out.
I guess now that that's settled, I didn't want to go over some of the plans here whenever you're ready, Alfego, about, are we calling this like the Wake Fair or the Whirl Fair? I'm not quite sure would be the best sort of punchy name for it to sort of like jazz it up a little bit as I'm thinking here.
The way you said this, he's still rolled up into an armored ball on the sea floor right now.
Yeah.
His voice is coming through muffled, and he says, "You are saying this to me as if it is wordplay, and I am sure it is very funny to you. This is not my native language, so it is going over my head. But if you want to call it Whirl's Fair, yes, this is making work for me to make. Yes."
All right, marking that one off there. Okay, so if you're comfortable with unrolling, I can kind of show you some of the plans we already have and see what might need to be adjusted based on your expertise.
Is the XX Black Ebon Reaper still there? Depends. Do you feel a darkness hovering over your soul? Then yes.
Yeah, that's still there, but like, don't worry, I can take him in a fight if it comes to it. It's all good.
You will defend me.
Can I ride Alfredo like a clown rides a ball?
Oh no! No, you're sipping that clown juice.
Is that athletics? I think. I'm trying to ask what a clown. No, clowns are acrobatic. Obviously, foolish question. Sure.
13.
Okay, I like how every single roll so far has been Reaper. 13 is not good enough to do a perfect circus act. I say you can probably stay on the ball for a little bit before falling off. But this is quite a sight, I will say, if you try to just stand on this civil engineer and roll him around in front of your friends. This is not going how I expected. I thought we would more go over green prints and kind of do planning, but
What does Barbella have to do, roll-wise, to grab Reaper by the scruff of the neck?
I think that's between you two.
I don't think Reaper is like spending an inordinate amount of time doing this. She's just trying to entertain herself while this is all going on. She's not trying to like stop the blueprints from being like drawn up or anything.
Barbella just doesn't want this person we're having to deal with to be constantly terrified, ideally.
I do like this is the first time I think this has worked the way I was worried it would work, because when you rolled intimidation on the crabs, I think you failed. They all thought you were adorable. I think, you intimidated maybe some of the Medusa last arc, but most of those were just mooks who ran away and you're never going to see again. So like this is the first person who I think is like properly like, oh damn, the Black Ebon Reaper is not to be fucked with.
Whoever those dudes were at the start, I know I rocked that one dude with the intimidation check. That's the only other thing I'm still waiting for.
Oh yeah, the banana boys from the opening of the first episode. Yeah, I mean I think that like, word just got back to the banana boys and who are the business baron, and they just know about you. So we don't know what's going to come of that necessarily, but yeah. So at this point, you have successfully convinced the civil engineer that you are dangerous. Let's say that.
Reaper, let him uncurl.
Go ahead. No one's stopping him. I'm just looking for something to do.
I mean, you literally stood on top of him.
Does he not have the power to unfurl himself at a whim? That sounds like a core discipline failure.
I think not standing on people is a core discipline failure of yours.
Sounds like a skill issue. Reaper's gonna swim away.
I was gonna say, what is the skill issue or krill issue? I guess because you never any.
Oh my god! From downtown.
Awesome. This is what you get. We have you around here, right? This is but my only redeeming trait as a person is just the speed. I can throw these dumb wordplay things at you. Okay, you gotta let me have it.
All right, so after some shenanigans, I'll just explain this out of character real quick, is there is a cultural exchange festival coming up with the neighboring communities because you have made an enemy of the Coral Kingdom by killing their leader, Seneschal Kilpatrick. That was the last arc. You probably remember that. And so now you need to figure out some allies because you're pretty vulnerable in this new, small, desolate community, and you're going to hold a cultural exchange festival. There are going to be several factions that you can ally with or fail to ally with, or the consequences from that. And what we've kind of planned so far is that there's going to be some kind of martial arts tournament. The easiest way to break this down is there's going to be 3 of you. There's going to be 3 factions that you can befriend, and there's going to be like 3 events and 3 buildings that you need to work on. It's very easy to remember. Let's say Reaper, you're going to be kind of in charge of the coliseum or stadium or wherever the martial arts tournament is going to be held, because that's your thing. Barbella, we need a new church because the riddlefish emerged in the middle of the last one, put a bunch of, a big, huge hole in it. if you'll recall.
You're suggesting I can't just make that a centerpiece of the church? Is, hey, enjoy our big fountain?
Yeah, there is a big fountain of purple smoke and stuff coming out of it.
If I had a church and God came through the floor, made a big fountain and left through the ceiling, that's where my church is now, where God put the fountain.
I mean, absolutely. That can be still a thing. I think maybe you'd want to maybe expand on it, because my memory of this is that the church was made from like shed scales or, shed skin of the riddlefish to begin with. So the riddlefish swimming through it, like just the way that size math works to me, is that a lot of it was destroyed.
Yeah, that is some fair size math. I can't really argue with that bit.
I do have an idea for that actually too. So,
and then there's the third one, which is just if there's another building or event. Now it's the time to talk about this. It's kind of an open forum for these conversations, and then we're gonna have a time skip to the actual festival.
I can throw my idea out there then, if that's okay. It's not uncommon for these sort of things for the host city to have something that's sort of like a spectacle structure of sorts, right? Think the Eiffel Tower or something within those sort of lines here. So the idea I had was a hydrodynamic sculpture based on the event created by the rattlesnake jumping up through the church, because you have this vent with this purple smoke coming out, channeling that through a structure to create some sort of like, display, something that's sort of like a fanciful demonstration of our skill in craftsmanship, but also a way to sort of like add a little bit of flair to the community that's not a strictly functional structure in that way. That's sort of what my idea was.
If it's being powered by the riddle geyser smoke, etc., can we have a little take a riddle, leave a riddle receptacle at it?
Sure, yeah, for sure.
There can be a whole remodel of the Church of the Riddlefish. I mean, you mentioned the Eiffel Tower, which was built for the World's Fair, famously. Yep. I've been thinking about this in terms of like the World Cup or the Olympics, when a city gets that and they build a bunch of stuff, and the economics of that are interesting and questionable, a lot of corruption, but also an opportunity for you to maybe do some corruption.
Barbella is certainly not going to push back against the idea of the Church of the Riddlesnake becoming this town's equivalent of the Eiffel Tower. Fucking love the idea that people would come for like tourist tours from other towns to come see the place where she's going to force them to listen to riddles. It's the done thing when you visit the riddle-based Eiffel Tower.
I liked how I thought you were going to talk about like an opportunity for cultural expression, but like, no, opportunity for corruption was where you went, which is great.
I mean, listen, I tried to leave as much room for you all to roleplay in as possible. I'm just going to say some of these people that you want to ally with are going to be easier than others, and I'm trying to leave you some maneuvering areas, No,
I understand. I think the closest inspiration for maybe what we can kind of build this on, I would like to think of like a structure, something kind of like the magic fountain of Mount Uic. I think that is the one in Barcelona. There's like all those water jets and like different lighting displays. I would almost imagine like a bioluminescence element at play. But anyways, that was just sort of where my idea was, like I wrote that on my notes here, a spectacle structure is sort of what I would describe it as.
I'm looking at this now. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's say the church is 1 and the stadium is 2. What is the third thing you want to build, and what do you want to make it out of? So all during the last arc, I was having you make rolls and observations about building materials. I'll just say one thing up top is coral has been kind of taken off the table because you have alienated the coral kingdom.
Yes.
This could have gone a lot differently, but that's just, I think, an interesting consequence of killing the chairperson of that culture. So,
well, an option could be, if it's possible to find fairly safe amounts of things, it could be useful to demonstrate the connection between Zafo and the banyan tree and the island itself by doing a structure that incorporates the root structure coming down from around the gig into the seabed as well. So something of that sort. But I'm trying to think of like the best way to incorporate that into a structure. I've been trying to think about this. One structure I found really fascinating as well, that was made during Expo 86, was called Canada Place in Vancouver. It basically looks like, as it's described in one article, as being a mix between a sailboat and the Sydney Opera House. So it almost looks like a boat that's extending out from the side of the city, and now it's like a convention center, hotel, everything else. Another and something along those sort of lines there. But so shoot, because initially the structure I was thinking of was the idea for the third thing, so I'm trying to pivot and try to come up with a fourth thing now. So any other like ideas can help in that respect. So the main like materials I can think of is either something. The only other option I can think of for materials would be to find some sort of like a whale fall or a wreckage of some sort of vessel, like a ship or something, to assemble a structure out of, to represent the sort of like founded community that we have that has to kind of rely to some degree on found materials and stuff. That's the only, so like almost like a structure that looks like a ship rising out from under the sea, but is actually like a structure that has some other purpose, like almost like an underwater, not necessarily a hotel like the gig itself, but something like that as like a convention center, maybe even places like a theater or a stage for like riddles to be shared and stuff outside of the church or something.
So there's a reason that I love the idea of something like a boat being used for like a convention space, because all I can now imagine is having like the lighting crew up in the crow's nest. So they've got a perfect top-down view for doing all the little techie stuff or whatever performances go on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you can roll of any number of things to try to get more information or more ideas, but I'll say if you vocalize what you just said out loud, Elfago will say, yes, we can use plant material from island. This is a risk reward because plants have much pliability, but a failure will cause kind of ripple effect as it fails. It's not sturdy like stone, so this is concern. Not saying no, just things to think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. With whale fall, we are requiring hunt big whale. I don't know about how you feel morally. Some of my best friends are whales. I'm not super jazzed about this, but if you have, how do you say, cojones to find kraken, I would love to kill kraken and use its bones for our stadium. That has great eldritch feel, the ribs rising to the stars. I love this very much. And then there is shipwreck. Elf Navy, we get them, we rip their tongues out, we drink their blood, we sink their ship. This also works very nice. I know some guys.
I like the one where we rip out tongues and drink blood.
Right.
I like the one where you're like, no, we can't kill the whale because I have whale friends. We can kill the kraken, though. Don't have any friends who are those.
I do not have any kraken friends. In fact, one was very rude to my brother, so fuck them. Also, I do not know any elves. They are, they're up there. I do not have any interest in up there. But whales are nice. You ever chill with whale? They sing you beautiful song.
Reaper's gonna raise her hand and be like, I'm part whale.
Oh, this explains your powerful aura that is so threatening. You have majesty and beauty in your heart behind your vicious exterior.
Yes, and it's dark like shadows, right?
It is too dark. It is frightening to me.
It also explains why I like to attack boats sometimes.
Yes, I do not know if we want Zolfo having a reputation for sinking ships, but if we are doing that, maybe that is our vibe. Who's to say? I just arrived here.
No, I mean, like, your points are valid. Like, the plant is the most available and does not require either, like, lucking into an already existing shipwreck or going after a kraken or something. But at best, that'd be a temporary structure. And, that has its uses, but anything we can build that's more substantial is going to be better. As for the other two options, like, okay, kraken or or sinking a ship intentionally.
This is the first rule of aquatic architecture. Water is, say it with me, universal solvent.
Yes, right. I mean, like, Of course, and anything that we want to use, we want to make sure that it's proved, whether it's calcified or has any other sort of preservation process for longevity. Of course, the materials make the matter, and so we want to make sure that our materials are as good as possible for anything that we do here.
The sea will take everything back eventually.
I have an out of character question quickly.
Perfect.
What's the state of this ocean in terms of, like, has it been particularly polluted? I'm mainly wondering, like, has plastic ended up in this ocean yet?
I love that question because the backstory of this setting is the gods died and gave this biome to the people. Just it's all very new. That's kind of the one of the like gimmicks of this is like a kind of a frontier without colonization, without like displacing native peoples. So it's like the Wild West without the genocide, essentially. Which, weird timing, Magic the Gathering just announced their Wild West setting, and they also said, weird, no one was here before the Cowboys got here. So that was literally just like 2 days ago Mark said that.
And one of the consequences about that I was operating on when designing Boyce is the idea that since so much of like underwater features are the byproduct of creatures having lived there over long periods of time, we don't have that. So a lot of the natural resources that you would typically think of tapping into kind of have to be grown naturally or just be the byproduct of other things, not just plastic pollution per se, but like a whale just dies of natural causes, a whale fall happens, right? Or a shipwreck happens naturally, and now there's a structure that can be inhabited and built upon. But because it's so new, a lot of those things are rare at best, and so either we have to be super lucky or we have to actively get those materials ourselves some way.
Yeah, I will say that to answer your question, Laura, no, there are no plastics currently in, but that's a concern. In fact, just a little foreshadowing, I think it was mentioned in the downtime, one of the cultures that's going to be here at the festival is the plant people, the Leshy of the nearby northern shore, and they actually do have concerns about like the elf navy polluting and stuff. So like,
okay,
it's like maybe like a whisper you've heard is like maybe if you want to ally with them, you'll want to help them fight pollution because that is a real concern.
If that's on the table, I think Barbella likes the idea of the new Church of the Riddlefish. If it can't be assembled out of, say, there's not more bits of Riddlefish lying around necessarily to make it from. Making it out of, like, discarded trash materials, like making something beautiful that she respects out of stuff that might otherwise be dangerous if left floating in the water. I will be honest, it's 90% because she doesn't want to risk the riddlefish swallowing bad things and getting ill.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta get it all collected in one place where the riddlefish isn't gonna get sick.
I also can think of the idea of like almost doing like a glass-like sort of structure around the vent and then sort of decorating the outside with some of the materials so that they refract light in different ways, and then doing some bioluminescent treatment to sort of like give it like a bit of a glow at different times of like day or otherwise. So,
let me put two things on the board there. I don't know if anyone's taking notes, but let's say finding more pieces of the riddlefish to remodel the church is an option, and option two, collect let's say pollution or stuff that shouldn't be there, foreign objects. But I also think that one is pretty closely related to sink a ship. It's like fear us dry walkers.
In that case, if get new bits of riddlefish is on the table, Barbella is interested in that option.
I don't want to tell you what you can or can't do necessarily. If you all want to be like, fuck the surface world, declare war on those bitches, you absolutely can go that way. But I just want to let you know everything's basically still on the table at this point, except for Coral. You fucked that one.
Listen, okay, it's not our fault the guy's name was Kill Peter. It's asking for it, right? There's just an instruction. That's all we're doing. We're just following instructions there. Boyce will actually look to Reaper and ask a question and be like, Reaper, I have a quick question. For the stadium, arena, pit of death, as you might want to call it otherwise, is there any sort of material that you would like to be made of? What sort of inspires you to put up your fins and like get into a rousing fight or something.
Bones.
Bones. Okay, we got that down.
Yeah. Listen, if we all want to fight a kraken, I have the monster manual. I look through it sometimes wistfully, being like, they're never gonna get strong enough to fight this guy. But if we want to get fucking silly,
That is kraken facing at the very least. Maybe if we sink a ship just so and bait a kraken underneath it, we can crash the ship into the kraken and take out. Now that's probably a little bit too elaborate there.
so let's say we have temporarily penciled in, let's say Whale Fall Stadium and Riddlefish Church. What is the third structure, and what are we thinking it made out of? There's still plenty of options, and there's still rolls you can make, or you can just ask Alfego in character. He's rolling around now. I'm just picturing him kind of doing this like Sonic the Hedgehog stunts on nearby, ocean floor geography.
Oh no, is Alfego the Knuckles to Reaper's Shadow?
I didn't think of that. So good. I wish I was a player in this campaign, because I would absolutely just play this character like fucking Knuckles and annoy the shit out of you.
Oh my god.
It just elbow voicing.
This is what I'm surprised you didn't think of this, Austin. I thought that was pretty okay.
Look, I don't think this is a suggestion that Boyce is going to get behind, but I have to say it because it's the only suggestion I have right now. Skate park. That's going to make all the coolest people come out and hang out in our town.
Okay.
We could get the skater faction to join us.
I mean, like, we got half pipe, curl pipes, rails. We can make rails out of various materials. I'm trying to figure out a way to concentrate heat enough to turn the sand beneath us directly into glass. We can use that for some structures or otherwise. Concretion is still a difficulty, so we need another material that is sufficient for rolling over. And of course, I mean, the thing about it is that means we have to put Reaper into 2 competitions, because she's just going to grind those rails so good, she's going to make everyone embarrassed and make them go home.
Have you considered a combination gym and riddle book store as the final place we build? I think that could be a real hit for the town.
I mean, so you're suggesting a center for self-improvement, right?
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah. Improve the body, improve the mind, improve the soul. That's it. We got to work in threes here.
Yeah, I believe in working all 3 of those. Yes.
All right, got that there. But that would be a pretty good usage of a sunken ship, or we could use some. Okay, all right. We got that too. So,
although maybe it is already covered by the church. Maybe the church is already all those 3. Nah, fuck.
I mean, like, it's one of those things where Boyce is looking at this list of things, looking at the timetable. It's just like, oh, geez. I don't like the idea of actively fighting someone or something for the sake of supplies, but it's if it means we can improve our relations with one of the other cultures, it might be worth to, I hate saying it this way, basically making some enemies in order to make friends, I guess. Since we've already...
Well, we've done the make some enemies half.
Right.
So we're on to a good start.
Unfortunately, I don't know who's like an enemy of the Coral Kingdom that we could try to petition in that direction as well, but...
Oh, is this the enemy of an enemy thing?
Essentially, yes. That would seem to be a way to get an in with the Leshy, at least.
Who's an enemy of an enemy?
I was trying not to dump too much exposition on you all at once, but I will say Alfego will sketch on the ground, in the dirt, this chart that I'm going to explain, which is that basically the different communities in the sea are based on depth. So at the lowest, bottom of the ocean, there are creatures who have no access to sunlight. They're very nutrient poor because they nothing there's photosynthesizing. At the very shallowest, that's where you have all the seaweeds and seagrasses because they get direct access to the sun. And this is a way of thinking about the other factions is what they want based on their depth in the ocean. So I will say you all can see this chart, but Zolfo is bathypelagic, which means it gets some light but not enough for vegetation. So that's why this is the Wild West, right? There's tumbleweeds and cacti, but not like lush fields of wheat and corn, right? So that's kind of where you are. Below you, there's like some of the seriously deep shit. We've seen an anglerfish this season already. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about there. You can ask more questions about the community, but I've already told you about the Leshy. I'm just going to start putting more icons in here. Quinn has inspired me to keep more icons in the Roll20 at once. I try to keep minimum because I don't want to overwhelm you, but Quinn keeps every character ever mentioned in the Roll20 at the same time, and seems like that's helpful, so maybe I'll do that. So here's a Leshy. It's a seaweed Leshy. She's obviously kind of a humanoid made of kelp. That's exactly kind of what it looks like. We've seen a Leshy in dry side. Needles, the cactus, is a Leshy. We also got some sharks here. This is from the mesopelagic layer, so they get some sunlight. This right here is a Greenland shark. I'm going to tell you that's just a little foreshadowing of the leader of them. It's the oldest and one of the largest types of shark. And then there's the abyssopelagic, the dark depths, like below you. You actually dipped in there in the first arc where the crabs were. We had to talk about dark vision and so forth. This is another kind of guy, and I'm going to put their representative here, which is...
Oh, look at that.
I can't tell which end of him is the front. I'll say that.
This is a Dumbo octopus. They are some of the deepest in the ocean creatures. They're called Dumbo because they have big, weird ear-looking projections. Sure. Very short arms, not like those full tentacles you might be used to. They're just like right next to his mouth. But these are the kind of guys, I should say, when I said they're sharks people, that's obviously Kuatoa is the term for that. And when we're talking about octopus people, we're talking about cephalids. I should show you a more traditional picture of a cephalid because I don't know if you all have the same picture in mind. Here's a cephalid. They are kind of anthropomorphic guys, but they have beaks. They have beaks, yeah. They have heads almost like bird-like, and then like lower down their body, they have tentacles for like arms and legs. So that's what we're working with here. They're like the least anthropomorphic of the sea creature people, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm also looking at this lower level beneath abyssopelagic, hadopelagic, which is a...
Yeah. This is actually a term that is somewhat controversial in oceanography. Some people are not sure if it should be its own term, but the hadal and hadopelagic comes from Hades, as I was going to say underworld.
Yes, that's. I'm like, so we go into the abyss and then we go into hell. Okay, I see.
Absolutely. In fact, I don't know if anyone wants to roll anything about that because I'll say that Elfago sketches this to you, and he's like, here's the depth chart, right? Zolfo represents Bathypelagic here, the third one. But like, everyone has different needs that you'll need to, solve if you want them to ally with you. And then he's like, oh, there's just the bottom thing here, the bottom of the world, hell itself.
Nature, I guess, is going to be the role, or...
Yeah, Boyce with a 24 for Hadopelagia. I will say that, you think that basically very few creatures can survive down there, especially complex ones. There's just no oxygen is a main thing. There are like bacteria and like microscopic plankton and stuff that live down there, but they're mostly like chemically based. Like they don't like eat and do a lot of the stuff that you associate with life.
And beyond that, honestly, the pressure of the water column above them is just so high that like certain structures would have a harder time even sustaining in that area,
Yeah, I had you all go down into an oceanic trench in the first arc, and you weren't flattened like pancakes, but when we're talking about hadopelagic, that is when, all your bones turn into jelly and you explode and die.
Pretty sick sounding, honestly, though. You're not making this sound any less cool, man.
But actually, I mean, with this 24, Boyce, you're explaining this. You're like, well, we're not going to get a representative from the hadopelagic layer because, like, that's, microscopic things and things that, don't share kind of like our concept of a mind. And this, I think maybe sticks out to Reaper.
Does it?
Yeah. So you and I have not discussed this, but I'll say that the pressures here at the bottom of the world, the lowest you can go, are so crushing that even with like very advanced technology, we can't really explore it. but your kung fu master, Master Evers, trained down there.
I was gonna say, is training at the bottom of the ocean like going into the like having the weighted training gear on?
It's the inverse of like high altitude training for endurance racing. You want to have like train in lower oxygen environments. You're just training in higher pressure environments, and then you come here just like this is nothing. Yeah.
This is a question for Reaper. Could you stand it down there? Were you strong enough? Is there like part of your whole, insecurity but must become stronger because you couldn't hack it where your master could?
I think that she would have been able to stand it to some degree, maybe not an all the time sort of thing. But I mean, if she trained down there, or she trained with Master Evers, then she would have had to have at some point.
Sure. I should also say that you mentioned, I'm trying to remember all the details that we've hinted at and ones we talked about off air, how Master Evers died.
I don't think she's ever explicitly said it. She just kind of notes that she never got the chance to kill him.
Yeah. So at the very, very bottom of the ocean, some chemicals come out of the crust. Hydrogen sulfide is a poisoning thing, and that basically your master got sick from training at that depth.
Dumb idiot.
So that's how he died, but he got so unbelievably strong by, basically training at the most pressure conceivable. Like, just that there is no training regimen stronger than having the entire ocean on your shoulders, literally.
Mm-hmm. Atlas training is an interesting concept for sure, yes.
So, yep, that's I don't know if you say anything out loud, Reaper, but you and I, looking at the same page here, that's something that sticks out to you. Is that is the pinnacle of training, especially for an underwater martial artist, is doing it at the hadopelagic layer. But it's also, in addition to just straight up killing you with the pressure, there's also just dangerous heavy metals that leak out.
Yeah, at some point, Boyce would even just listen, outside of bacteria, no one can really survive down in those depths, So I doubt there's gonna be much of a culture for us to sort of develop any sort of relation with.
Not a weak one.
Yeah, maybe even Althego speaks up and says, if you want strong ally, the shark Kuotoa, they are best military around. I do not know if you want to prioritize them or the food of the Leshy or the magic of the abyss. The octopi, the cephalids, they have access to high temperature and low temperature and high pressure magics. So everyone has different specialties you can access.
More sharks around would be cool. I'm a fan of sharks. Sharks are good.
So I guess the question is, we have a good idea of how we could possibly appeal to the Leshy. If we were to take the fight to the elves, as you know, that would have already put a bit of a mark in their books, in addition to just providing a structure of sort from there. And also, I think avoiding using the island's own structures, own routes to build things, would also avoid upsetting the Leshy in any particular way there. As for the sharks and the cephalids, though, I'm trying to think of what would be things we could do to draw their favor.
Yeah, I don't know if each of you want to assign yourself one of the three people to try to win over, because that's what this arc is can you win over allies? There are three possibilities. The ones you don't win over may become hostile, may align with the Coral Kingdom. But, feel free to tell me if you're thinking along those lines.
Right. So the sharks are the military ones.
Mm-hmm.
What do the other two specialize in again?
The Leshy have the best access to food. Something about Zolfo is it does not have a nutrient dense biosphere here. Like I said, think of it as kind of like the Wild West Arizona plains. There's just not a lot of food. So that is a concern. The Leshy are in the shallow water where they have ready access to the sun, photosynthesis, that just creates a lot of food. So that's them. And the abyssopelagic people, the cephalids, they have the best access to magic. An interesting thing about the abyss of the ocean is, in addition to the super hot hydrothermal vents we've talked about like all season, right? Where the stuff's coming out, it's like the surface of the sun temperature. There's also something called cold seeps, which is the exact opposite, which is Arctic temperatures coming out. And when you have those extremes, you can do magical experiments, which you can't do under normal conditions. So let's say that they have food, military, and magic are the kind of three bonuses of these cultures.
I think Barbella would probably be leaning towards magic as being the one that should be tempted towards thinking she'd be able to have some interaction with. She's dabbled in weird little religious magic that might be of interest. Likes the study of, what are you doing with your weird magic that's local to your little thing you're doing?
I think honestly, like the arena coliseum could appeal well to the sharks, giving them sort of like an arena to sort of like, engage in the theatrics of fights without needing to like, go out to war necessarily, and kind of fight it out to see who's the best among them and such. So that seems to appeal. And I almost think tapping into this new vent created by the riddle snake could be something that could be kind of an interest or appeal towards the cephalids as well, in terms of like the structures.
Yeah. The other thought I had for that was, if Barbella is going to be trying to find some more bits of the riddle snake for building a new church from, that could also be, hey, here's an offering, a piece of a very weirdly mystical thing that you can like fuck around with, do some magic with.
So obviously Reaper is going to join the martial arts tournament that's being held during the festival. Are you, both of you, going to join as well? I mean, this is an opportunity for learning more about these people, and maybe you leveraging something about the fights. I don't want to tell you how to do your business, but
Barbella is up for taking part in the tournament for one reason and one reason only. It would be really funny to beat Reaper in the tournament.
Yeah, that would be good. I think like all three of you can just join, and whoever's not fighting, the other two can like continue the quest, of trying to win over the people in other ways, and we could just like rotate through, if that makes sense. Sure.
I mean, we could definitely be like, it could be an arena that shows off different types of spectacles and fights. Have a wizard battle, as it were. Oh gosh, a riddle battle, like a rap battle type thing. A riddle off.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like. So I'm thinking of like specifically a bracket martial arts tournament with like a winner for one of them. But if the third structure we're building is like some kind of, I don't know, performance arts hall or convention center, and there's also a riddle tournament, like that is. I mean,
don't threaten me with a good time, Austin. Don't threaten me with a good time.
I do like the idea of taking going, basically being like eco-terrorists, going after these polluting elves, turning their ship into a convention center, and that seems like a fun idea for sure.
The problem with doing a riddle tournament is that my NPCs will all look like fools as Laura fucking trounces them. With martial arts, I can win a dice fight, but I can't out-riddle Laura.
I think the only way to do it would be for me to give you access to my riddle repository. We roll dice, and whoever gets the better roll gets to pick out of the good riddle pile and the shit riddle pile.
Oh, my, the riddle pository, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's certainly an option. But like, yeah, that would be the third one. Let's say if Reaper is in charge of the sharks in the stadium, Barbella is in charge of the cephalids in the church. That leaves Boyd with the leshies and the question mark.
Well, the leshy would be the ship. I mean, that's basically. I mean, like that seems like the best angle to get for the leshies, right? If we can sink one of the elves' ships, that would be, in of itself, a gesture towards the Leshy, obviously making an enemy of the elves. But I already think are in bad favor with some of the elves, because if I'm not mistaken, the first wave of Banana Boys we saw in the opening episode were elves, weren't they? In like aquatic attire, wasn't that the case?
The people's identity was hidden in their diving suits, so we actually don't know if they were elves. But yeah, I'm counting those faction-wise as Banana Boys and not as Elf Navy. They could have been elves under the suit, but
I just assumed that they were non-amphibious, non-aquatics. At least in the very least, was from my gauge from that sense. Melting their suit caused them to flee in some capacity.
Yeah, I think I was envisioning them as human, but yeah, they could have easily been elves. It wouldn't change behind the scenes that I'm counting them as Banana Boys.
Austin just behind us like, oh shit, I gotta change my notes. Scratch up. But like, I mean, that's the only risk there is one. Well, taking the fight to the elves, that's risky in its own right, of course. And of course, failure means, well, now we've made the enemy of the elves, and now I have to find a new way to appeal to the Leshy. But yeah, I think the main thing for the Leshy would be like the convention center for like cultural sharing of things, exchanging of ideas and stuff, and there could be other features going on in there. But it's just like the best way to get the materials just really seems to go after the ship, right?
Yeah, no, I like that. So if we're doing a convention center out of a elf ship, a stadium out of some sort of large sea creature, which we can discuss that in a moment because that seems like a bigger undertaking, and then refurbishing the church out of rattlesnake parts, shed parts, we can do all of those. So I think for the big fight, for the whale fall, we'll need to have more involved roles. But for scavenging the riddlefish, that's the easiest one. That strikes me as like survival, because it's kind of like tracking an animal. And this is all Laura stuff here. So what kind of stuff are you thinking? Let's get the roles. Let's get it from Laura, because this is kind of your project you're leading.
Let's get that completely unmodified D20 rolled.
If you want, I can throw a guidance your way to give you a D4 to slap on there.
No needed. 18. Barbella is amazing at tracking.
Do you want to see if you beat a 20 with a D4?
I mean, if you want to add a D4, I'll take it.
Sure. I mean, guidance is just it's a cantrip. I can just do it anytime I want. So
fuck yeah.
Yeah. We played Baldur's Gate 3. We just spammed guidance every roll possible.
Yeah. Okay. That's 20 now. Austin, I'm the best at finding everything.
This is what they call the Scholar's 20, not a natural 20.
Yeah.
But an 18 plus guidance.
What part of the riddlefish skeleton looks like the Eiffel Tower?
Oh my god. I can tell you some ideas I have, but I don't know if we want to go with those. But can I actually tell you, because I took a cleric level with Hylia on dry side, and I specifically didn't take guidance because it's so good, and I wanted to distinguish her from Anne, the cleric I played before. But
sure.
Here's the thing. I am about to put something into the chat which blew my tits off, and I can't wait for you to meet him. Because you said the Eiffel Tower, and maybe this is just because I fucking melted my brain with fucking ocean facts. But here comes a fucking guy. Here comes a lad. Let me see where I saved this picture.
I believe in you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, hello.
This is called a snipe eel. So we've discussed the riddlefish is looking like a variety of different fish. This one in particular, though, is a kind of eel with the most outrageous mouth. And turn it 90 degrees. Do you not see Eiffel Tower with this man's?
I mean, I do see Eiffel Tower when you turn that 90 degrees. Are we making it canon that's what the riddlefish's lips look like?
I'm scared of doing this. In fact, here's a question. I think you go out with Allison, the Medusa, to like look for riddlefish parts, and she asks you in character, "Hey, people are saying you, quote, fed a child to the riddlefish. Is that how we're phrasing that?"
That's not how I would phrase it. I would go, a child with command of an army came and attacked our town, and in a moment of self-defense, a deity came to my aid.
Oh no, don't get it twisted. You saved my entire culture and my queen, and I owe you a life debt. I have no problem with you icing Kilpatrick. The thing I was questioning was that the riddle snake ate him, because I don't know that. Does the riddle snake have a mouth?
I have never seen it close enough for long enough to tell. And I know that it literally, went right past me. but it moves real fast for something that big.
Exactly. And it's hard to look directly at. All its scales are always shimmering and reflecting rainbows.
My assumption is it, because in my head, the hold that it comes out of, it's eating the dirt. It's like eating through the ground. It's like tunneling. And it would make more sense for it to have a mouth than not have a mouth, considering there was a person there, and then the fish moved through that space, and then the person ceased to be. Unless the person didn't get eaten and the kid is, like, just on the front of the riddle fish still, very fast moving, like, not able to get off because of the speed. But I feel like we would know if that went down.
Yeah, possible. I don't think there is any chance Kilpatrick's alive. One way or another, that boy is dead. My question is just, was he eaten the way one animal eats another? Was he vaporized by the size and speed of the serpent? Was he, I'm just going to say it. People aren't going to like that I'm going to say it. Was he obliterated in such a way as to transform his physical body into a riddle? A body riddle.
Oh my
you know?
god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! If that's possible, I know how I want to go out.
Because listen, you and I are discussing, does it have a mouth? Does it have a tail? Never seen the ends. How does it move so fast? How does it tunnel? How does it create the geysers?
Wait. What? Doesn't this sound like the beginning of how you write a riddle? What has no mouth but somehow eat a kid?
But
That sounds like a riddle?
what has no mouth yet it screams, you know?
That's the thing I'm saying. Its physical form and also the actions it performs are riddles to me.
Okay. That is a good proposition. Can I put that in my will, that when I die, someone has to tell 3, like, powerful riddles and summon this thing so I can get obliterated into a riddle?
That feels like that's the funeral rites of our organization, is it not?
I need to go talk to the Riddle Pope about this. This might be, like, the birth of a new religious practice happening right here.
I mean, Allison is getting more and more into the Riddle Church, as we've discussed, after she was changed by being dragged, or she threw herself into the well. So she's also excited. Here's another lore question, because you're looking around for scales, you're looking around for shed skin of the Riddle Snake or whatever, and she says, the Riddle Pope, is that Bishop Bittercreek or is that Hialeah? Because she's running around telling everyone she's going to be the Pope. And I don't know if our wet and dry organizations are interlinked like that.
I had not heard that. Look, as far as I am concerned, we're not particularly connected organizations. I've spoken. I don't get the impression that we're aligned on belief structures. I'll say it like that. I did just mean Bishop Bittercreek, and I know that Bishop... Here's the thing. Bishop Bittercreek, I should be able to remember, because it's a religious word, and it's like a alliteration. I should be able to remember that. But every time I try and remember it, all I remember is Riddle Pope.
That's fine. This is Austin and Allison saying it's fine. But now Austin's asking you, Laura, do you think the Church of the Riddlefish and the Church of the Banyan should have any kind of formal relationship? Are they intertwined? There was that downtown conversation we discussed where the branches of the banyan seem like the coils of the serpent. I showed you that medieval art of that, to the snake tree and stuff. I'm just curious how much you think these things work together.
Here's the thing. Fundamentally, I think that Barbella does think that they are two sides of the same coin. I think this is more, wait, this person who was like mere moments ago like asking very basic questions about maybe I have thoughts about religion, I'm not sure, to I'm gonna make myself a pope. That's some concerning religious rhetoric that I don't think... Barbella, I think, hears that and goes, oh, you're not religious, e.g., I'm gonna come down and ask questions about your religion and, like, swap religious texts, and, like, we can be sister religions where you know how you sometimes have religions where it's like, we can both agree that we believe in the Old Testament even if we don't both agree on the New? Like, Hyalea's not coming down to have those conversations. Hyalea's going, I'm the Pope of half of this. like a week after deciding I might want to be religious. That's not interesting to Barbella. But if it was someone else or a different approach, I think Barbella would be very interested in twin religions.
Yeah, I think this is an open question. I literally don't know how the stuff on Dry Team is gonna go. So this is just me touching base with you on this stuff. So as far as collecting material to refurbish the church, what would you like to find? You got a 20, so it's 100% ball in your court.
Okay,
whatever you want.
I was gonna go with the joke of the Eiffel Tower lipped fish thing, but I do like the idea of us not confirming whether this thing has a mouth. And I think maybe going a different direction, because I think the last time it was like it was either the skull or like the shed skin from the head. It looked like the big head, like sort of most of a big fish head. But maybe this time it is It almost seems like it is discarded fins, like old fin, sort of scale encrusted fins. There might be some meat on the bones, but it's mainly held together by some sort of like shimmering plating that seems to be the scales, that could be sort of propped up against each other to create, once again, a sort of Eiffel Tower structure. It's two things sort of leaning in a triangle on the floor. But it's not lips, so we don't have to make it canon that this thing has a mouth.
I think in the first episode you said it was like, because it was more of a snake, you were like, oh, the shed skin of like the head is almost like a skull. But that's also why I think Hyalea asked you in that downtime, like, have you ever seen the end of it? Are you sure it has a head or like an end? You know, like that's the question. Is like, what there could be one snake with multiple skulls for all the fuck I know.
I think the thing for Barbella at this point, even having seen it this close, is Barbella's, like, this thing is so radiant, Barbella is unsure which details she actually saw, and which details, like, she's filling in to replace, like, I can't comprehend what that was. So her descriptions of this thing are probably going to be a little inconsistent, much like the parts of the fish that are being found don't paint a solid picture of what this thing is. We keep finding parts of it and going, that's definitely part of it. Don't know how that fits with what I was looking at, but that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, you find some sort of like, fin or some sort of, structure that's common to fish, but you're like, I've never seen that on the snake itself.
Oh, I was about to jump to, like, I find a perfectly formed house that would make a great new church, and I'm like, that's definitely part of the fish.
It's just its scales happen to be shaped like churches. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's got a really good interactive, like, door handle on the front door, but it's a scale. How does this thing work?
I've been throwing like some like kinetic water sculptures, kinetic like sand or other death sculpture things, kind of be like, okay, we have this thing, we have this vent with things kind of building up from it. Do we build something around it to like move and like prevent like an extra little bit of flair around how the church is being, or how this building's being built up around where the riddlefish was, right? So I'm just sharing some ideas to think of like, okay, but like in terms of what does the parts of the real snake look like, that's outside of my wheelhouse there.
Yeah, we found the clearly the fins of the riddlefish, which, as we all know, the riddlefish fins are a sort of spiral, almost like a hermit crab shell shape. The classic fin shape for a deific riddlefish.
I tried Googling church with fins. That's just not working. It's showing me Finnish churches. I know, Google. It was a weird question. It's not your fault. Yep, that church sure is full of fins.
I look for church with like fish scales, and I see like stock photos of slated church roof with fish scale pattern. I'm like, ooh, this looks kind of neat. I'm just dropping this in here because it looks kind of like it's a cool little type of thing there. But yeah, in terms of like building a structure from it, I'm pretty sure we could think of something. I like, how large is the fin? Here's the question, right?
Oh, it's fucking big.
Right. So basically, I like to think of mounting it so it's kind of jutting up, almost like the riddlefish is turned sideways and its fin is cutting through Zaphos as sort of like a little structure, and then using the billowing sort of purple stuff out from the vent as a way to sort of like give it a little bit of a sort of an ethereal sort of like almost tourist trappy sort of look. I'm going to it, but also kind of inspiring, kind of like awe-striking, you know?
We have remodeled the Church of the Riddlefish that has a purple fountain of some material coming out of it. Do we want to roll? I don't know if I want to leave this mystery. There's this beautiful geyser of something coming out. Barbella, let's just roll Arcana maybe to know what effect it has.
Sure, Arcana. 1 sec. I have a negative in that, but we'll see how it goes. Very quickly, I did have a realization there is one famous tourist-loved building that does look like it's made out of a bunch of fish fins.
Uh-huh.
It's the Sydney Opera House.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Okay. 10!
Yeah, with a 10, what I'll say is it is a positive effect. You feel good around the purple geyser. I'm not poisoning everyone, but I'm not going to tell you any more than that at this point. Maybe you'll learn more later, but that's what I'm going to give you for 10, is that people who spend time around the purple geyser feel better.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to have a think about ways that I can learn what this is.
All right.
Barbella drinks some.
Turn into like a sauna type thing. You know, just
Barbella drinks some.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll let you know later. I'll just say with the 10, nothing yet, but you don't get sick or anything.
Okay. Cool.
So Barbella, it seems like you have signed up to entertain the cephalids during the Cultural Exchange Festival. They have powerful magics you can secure. You learn more about their interests, and we can work on that. That's kind of your storyline for this arc.
Yeah.
But you are going to take part in the martial arts tournament as well, so that's good.
Yep. And I'm going to sit looking at this purple stuff going, I drank you, what are you?
All right, next up.
Much like Fago, I'm going to drink something purple and go, I really don't know what this is going to do to me.
It all comes back to Fago. Perfect. Next up, Boyce, you are going to sink a elf navy ship, presumably a very large galleon, because they're polluting the Leshy's water. You'll get in with them, and then you can make a building out of it. What kind of rolls are you thinking? I don't know if we need to roll up a whole combat encounter, because we have that for the next one, but what are you thinking roll-wise?
I think among the other things, what Boyce is going to do is a couple of things. Number one is leveraging something like Mold Earth, one of his cantrips, to sort of create like what looks like rocks jutting up from the water, sort of coax the ship away from certain areas from the Leshy. And then once they're at a certain point away, try to basically use the spell Shatter to rupture the bottom of the ship to force it to sink from the bottom up. And basically just sort of like compel the elves to abandon ship quickly, you know. And that way it's sort of like that's sort of like Boyce's plan is to do that. Possibly even and try to do so without I'm trying to think like stealthily doing Shatter is a difficult thing to do, I would say, but
well, you're trying to get the ship lost at sea away from the harbor first before you sink it.
Correct.
So I think that's like maybe a stealth check of all things, just to see if you can get the ship quietly away from the people who are supposed to be guarding it.
Yeah, that would not be an incorrect thing. I'm delaying rolling to see if that gives me a better chance of rolling a better result here, but let's see here. That's an 11.
So with an 11, you don't draw additional attention from like people on the shore, lookouts in the city, but there are still some people on the boat who noticed and start trying to do something about it. So let's say that you probably bring some people with you. This isn't like a solo mission. Maybe even some of your friends. I'm trying to think. Probably the crabs. You can probably bring a couple of K-parts with you, and they're getting shot at by the elves on deck. They probably have crossbows. Maybe they're throwing out a spell or two, and you are trying to take them out, and then you can sink the ship. You basically you're trying to do a grand theft ship here. What kind of roles are you thinking?
I have two things I would do. I think I would probably use something like a spell like ice knife or something like that to sort of like try to dissuade people away from the edges of the boat to protect the K-Par as well as I can. So like just shooting at them with that. Let's get a roll for you here. The attack. That is a 16 on the attack roll there.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was looking for. So this has kind of a Wild West flavor of attacking a caravan or something, but you have some, let's call it like moral, plausible deniability, because they are, a military force that is, emptying their, fucking garbage in the ocean. So
exactly.
If you need to tell yourself anything,
I mean, Boyce through all this, he's unhappy that they have to resort to this, but he's like, if we must have to do this. This at least is helping preserve the sanctity of our new world and delaying its ruination by just frivolous littering and such. So it's eco-terrorism, I guess, in a way. You could kind of describe it as that. But it's Boyce is not
it's
hard.
It's only eco-terrorism if you have bad marketing.
That's right. That's the whole we're Crabton Planet here. Okay, that's what we're we're not eco-terrorists. We're just taking back the ocean that still new. We're taking it back here. So. But that's the main thing. And then the last thing I would do as part of the process is then burn a second level spell slot on Shatter to blow a hole in the bottom of the ship to help it sink down.
Y'all ever read the book How to Blow Up an Elf Ship by Andreas Malm? So that really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I think you got a couple of K-parts here, probably Grandpa K-part, who did try to, the whole murder plot of the first arc was them trying to control the explosives so they could sell them to the elf navy. So that if you did have negative karma with them, that was you blowing up that deal. And now Grandpa trying to make up for you all sparing him, not imprisoning him and his wife. He scuttles onto the deck, grabs a guy, throws him off. Your ice knife hits another guy, explodes. There's, this pretty cool naval battle thing. And then you capture the ship, drive it out into the deep water, and then shatter the bottom. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you want to add here? You are going to lose the spell slot for Shatter, so that is the consequence here.
I've lost 2 spell slots. I've lost one for Ice Knife and one for Shatter, so I'm fine with that. One, Arcane Recovery. It's nice to have because I can regain these spell slots later on. But secondly, it's like this is the best way for Boyce to resolve this problem here. It's just, especially since we're dealing with an inanimate object, this is what Shatter is exceptionally good at. This is like the best non-combat usage for it, because even flat out says, it just non-magical object isn't worn or carried, takes damage. It is, you're basically doing that. If we wanted to corrode the wood, I could even make Shatter do acid damage instead of thunder damage if I wanted to corrode the wood in addition to the impact of Shatter. So we're just sinking this ship,
Yep, so you don't take any damage during this. I will just say that for the martial arts tournament coming up, spell slots and hit dice are going to be interesting. This arc's going to, I think, be a pretty tough one, because I do want it to feel like if whoever wins really earned it, Mm-hmm. So we'll be thinking about that. But it seems like, Boyce, you have made a great first step in getting an alliance with the Leshy, and you have built a building here.
I have one last detail about how, so as the ship is sinking, Boyce will sort of motion, and Gaudi will become fairly, I think, huge is the largest size I can make him, to sort of help guide the ship to make a softer landing at the bed of the ocean, and sort of guiding it down for a landing as it comes closer to the ground, so it doesn't impact so hard that the entire structure shatters in some form, so we can preserve it as cleanly as we can.
Sounds good. Reaper.
What's up?
So you are going to build the stadium this martial arts tournament's going to take place in out of the corpse of a giant sea monster. Do you want to set your...
I?
That's what's going on. You wanted it made out of bones, you said. Here's the question.
Yeah, I was just gonna go grab some bones like from a dead whale or something.
Well, there's not many dead whales. We need to make a dead whale, or in this case, a dead kraken.
Here's the thing. If you want to do it safer, we can do a couple rolls. We can scavenge some bones. I'm open to that. I also have, my imagination can stretch to many places. It's a risk reward. I'm being 100% real now. We can do any number of things. I want to bring our imaginations to life. Do you want to round up a posse to fight something that is genuinely a huge danger, or do you want to scavenge your bones? Both are fine.
I think Reaper wants to scavenge for bones because she knows that this huge tournament's about to happen and she doesn't want to get fucked up going into the tournament.
That totally makes sense, yeah. So what kind of roles do you think would be for that? I think medicine is the one that comes to mind, weirdly enough, because if we're talking about organics here, you were trying to build a kind of a macabre bone stadium, and so you would need to know something about that.
Sure. I got a 5.
That's not good. So I think you just kind of go wandering off, and you get pretty lost. Is there anything you're thinking about, like talking to yourself, like where is Reaper at before? Basically, you're gonna run into someone while you're wandering around looking for bones.
I think Reaper's just kind of like on edge and annoyed at this point. She's been waiting a while to get her person brought back. And, like, she's starting to, like, open up to everybody and be, like, cool with it. But she's also just like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I was told I was just going to be security and all I had to do is beat up people. I had to build a stadium. Who cares about this? This is all silly. This is a waste of a martial artist's true potential like mine. Hey, she doesn't want to do her chores, basically.
Wow, I definitely understand that. So you were kind of just wandering around looking for bones, not doing a particularly methodical job of it, when you come across one of the slug folk, one of the nudibranch we met earlier. Her name was Porter, and she is a sea bunny, so kind of a fluffy looking white creature, little speckles. Yeah, briefly. Actually, I don't know if you saw her. She was at the farm with Barbella and Boyce.
Hey, you see any whale bones around here?
She turns to you, little ear-like projections twitching. They're not actually ears, but they absolutely look like them. And she says, "Oh, you're XX Black. Oh, I know this. You're the scary one."
The Master of Dark Martial Arts XX Black Ebon Reaper XX? Yes, that's me.
Yeah, I heard you punched a bunch of our guys.
Did I? You'd have to be more specific.
She giggles.
I punch a lot of people.
Yeah, she giggles at this. Whatever she's doing, she's like packing up or something. You came upon her while she was doing her own thing. She says, "Yeah, the Baron hired some guys to steal some horses for a thing we were doing, and you ripped out their air tubes. We've heard about you."
Oh, this is starting to come about. Did you all have stupid yellow suits?
Oh, I mean, I don't know those guys. Maybe their suits are yellow. Those are like the lowest level of kind of hoodlums we hire for grunt work. I'm more specialized.
You should get stronger grunts.
You're right. I think we got some pretty strong grunts. Do you know Boobala? She works for the church.
No. Boobala.
Yeah, she loves the riddle fish. She has a crab leg. We got her deep. We got her deep in our pocket.
Oh, Barbella? Wait, is she like a goon for you?
Yeah.
Doesn't really seem like the sort.
Yeah, her and her friend the architect. Oh, they're banana boys for real now.
I mean, what makes someone a banana boy? If it's a pin, I have one.
Well, if the Baron asks you to do something, would you do it?
No.
Well, then you're not a banana boy.
Is that all it takes? You just have to do something if someone tells you to?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Is the Baron very strong? Why do you follow him?
Oh. Should I tell you that? I feel like I'm not supposed to tell you that. I guess no one's watching. I'll just tell you that he's not strong physically. He's very strong magically. Oh, I bet you would punch him all apart if you got close, but you would never get close. Obviously, you'd twist your whole body apart at quite a distance.
We'll see about that. I was going to invite you to our cool martial arts tournament, but if you can't actually physically fight, then there's no reason to be there.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. I know that Lucius is going to join. He's the blue guy. Have you met Lucius?
Yeah, I snuck across his farm.
Oh, that was you! You're so fun.
Yeah, I grinded down his hill. It was pretty sweet.
Oh, you're so dangerous. Lucius is gonna kill you.
I think I could take him.
Wow, I'll be rooting for you. It'll be exciting to watch. I have very good seats.
I don't even know if there are going to be seats. I was just going to build a floor to fight on, and then everything. I mean, that's up to you all to figure out. I'm not really in charge of that part of it.
Oh, okay. Wait, what are you doing out here?
I need bones to build the stadium with.
Oh, I can help. I can enchant things. I can do magic. I made Boobala's spear stronger, and I made the architect's book stronger. Do you ever think I can make stronger?
I mean, I have a harpoon.
I bet I can make it stronger.
In exchange for, or just because I'm awesome. Because the latter, I feel like should be things I'm offered more, but instead it feels like I have to do tit for tat. Which is stupid because I'm very strong.
I can tit your tats if you want to spend time with. I just want to be in your, presence. I just want to help you find some bones.
All right, I gotta roll an insight here.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what this person's vibe is, but it's often bad. 16.
16's good. I think she is being a little troll. She's being I don't know if it's necessarily dangerous. She has what's the opposite of a manic pixie dream girl? Depressive nightmare witch or something. She wants to come with you and see what you're doing. So she's gonna report on it. She's gonna tell the Baron, but she probably will enchant your weapon. But for her own reasons.
I mean, Reaper doesn't have that big of an issue with it then. She's just like,
I mean, if you just want to follow me getting bones, then sure, I guess. It's going to be boring. Unless I find something to fight along the way.
I played opposite of manic pixie dream girl, depressed ogre reality woman. Yeah, I think she will make your harpoon a +1 if you let her follow you, and then she's just gonna report everything you do back to the boss. Maybe that'll bite you in the butt later. Maybe it won't. I don't know at this moment. I just want an excuse for the Baron to know what's going on, basically, so that later, if I need him to know, he can know.
sure. I mean, yeah, Reaper's gonna say she's in Reaper's mind, she's not doing anything strange. Like the tournament is a well-known thing. She's just getting bones. Like if you want to follow along, then sure. And if you're gonna make my weapon stronger, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, I love to enchant. I make all kinds of wands for the boys, the banana boys. That's how I don't know if you've seen Lucius shoot, but he can KO a dolphin from 100 miles away. It's bananas. It's a bananas thing to do. So we can make your little harpoon pokier.
Why do you call yourself banana people? Is that like some weird thing you do, or what's up with that?
Oh, it's just a little secret. Maybe if your friends do a good job and they're good banana boys, I'll tell them this secret. You want to join? I'll tell you if you join and then you do a good job.
I'm already a part of enough weak organizations. I don't really need more of them to be keeping track of. I already have to babysit topside.
What does that mean? Babysit topside? Are there babies up there?
I don't know, probably. There's a lot of stupid people up there.
Like who? Who are you babysitting?
Right now, you.
So you,
Shine my harpoon. She's just gonna keep shaking it.
okay, so I just want to be clear. You do not fill her in on what Hylia talked to you about in the downtime?
No, I mean, she did say that she has to babysit Topside at some point, but she's not going to go into more details about it, really.
Topside baby is just a fun phrase as well, just to hear out of context.
But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be important, but you are fast tracking the resurrection of Master Evers, as we've discussed. You kind of cut a second deal on top of your original deal, but I guess the Baron, the business Banana Boys, are not going to know about that. Once again, don't know if that's something they need to know about or care about at this point, but just for the record, you choose not to share that information as you look around for bones. I guess at this point, we could do another roll. But is there anything you're specifically envisioning for the stadium? Because I do want it to be cool. I'm trying to do our own dark tournament, and I want it to be sick nasty.
I mean, I know you want to be sick nasty, but the best tournaments are just a square arena and then some shit around it. I don't know what to tell you. Cell just walked down to the wilderness and he fucking beamed up some mountain and he was like, "Sounds good. Time to wait here for a month."
I knew it was gonna be fucking Cell you were referencing.
I mean, the Dark Tournament also did it.
Yeah.
It's a staple in shonen battle manga. It's just usually a square or circular battle arena.
I do like the idea of something slightly sunken into the ground and having rails to grind into to make dramatic entrances. But other than that, yeah, not necessarily utilitarian, but yeah, just like something basic, because the spectacle is what's happening in the ring. I don't know, maybe we can put some torches on the perimeter or something.
All right, then it should be an arena that's raised, again, a square arena. It should be raised just high enough that it's at a mosh pit level, that if we get knocked out, you go right into a crowd of people and they throw you back in. It's going to be what do they call them? Lumberjack matches in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
There's 20 wrestlers just standing outside, and if you get thrown over the rope, they just beat the shit out of you and throw you back in the ring.
Whoa.
Love it.
All right. And what are the stands behind that are made out of huge ribs from a whale you find? Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, sure. It's just a big rib carcass that we're battling inside of. Sure.
I'm watching craziest lumberjack match moments WWE top 10. So let's see.
Well, that's going to be full of bias, but all right.
Oh no, they're just hitting him. They just keep hitting him.
Yeah, you just beat the shit. The moment you come out of the ring, everyone just beats you up, and then eventually they throw you back in the ring.
What part of this is lumberjackery?
Well, that's actually a great question. There's a great vignette where they're going to do a lumberjack match, and the wrestler Booker T shows up wearing a lumberjack outfit, and then his partner informs him, "You don't have to wear that." And he gets very upset. He was like, "I thought you had to." It's very good.
All right, so Reaper and Porter gather up all the bones necessary for the Coliseum. You bring them back. You don't actually have to do any of the construction. That's Boyce's job.
Oh, thank goodness.
But yeah, you're just throwing them all there. Is there anything you say or do before this interaction ends? Porter's going to go back to the Banana Boys.
Well, thank you for giving me things at no cost. This is how most transactions I'm involved with should be done.
If anything, it was negative cost because I enchanted your harpoon.
Exactly. This is how most people should treat me.
You don't want to do anything for me?
Well, that wasn't a requirement, so no. No, I don't think I do.
Are you sure? You can enchant something for me with your shadow magic.
I mean, it's not really how it works. What, do you have something you want to make covered in shadows?
Yeah, okay. So there's a circular bone we found right here. She just holds up just a ring. It's it'll be a bracelet. And she says, "Can you put shadows in it?"
Fine.
Reaper will cast minor illusion to put shadows in there and then walk away. And then after she just reaches the point where she's not really in confrontational range, she's just going to deactivate it. It's just the shadows will just disappear.
Sure. I think as Reaper walks away, you don't see this, but the camera sees, even though it was illusion, Porter casts some sort of spell, and the bracelet sucks up the shadow magic, the illusory key, I guess, because you're a monk, and just stores it. You don't know what end. But as you walk away, she smiles and puts the bracelet on and goes back to the Banana Boys. And so we have built all 3 buildings. Next episode, we're going to start the martial arts tournament of the World's Fair. And it's going to be kind of an alternating system where one person fights in the tournament and the other 2 try to make connections with visiting diplomats to secure an alliance against the Coral Kingdom. So that's going to be what this arc is about. Does anybody else have anything they want to do before we wrap up?
Okay, I think I have one more thing I'd like to do with Alfago. Basically, doing another once over on the ship that was brought down for the convention center, just to make sure that everything is still like looking clean and secured after we had brought the ship over here. Just because there might have been some extra damage that will look a little unseemly, and Boyce wants this to look as clean as possible now that it's in place.
Okay, so you're cleaning it up. You're making it nice and neat, so it doesn't look like a gnarly, like scavenge job. That's not the vibe you're going for.
Not for this particular one. There, like Boyce has expressed, I wouldn't say concerns, but slight frustrations about how salvage core everything ends up being around here at the moment.
All right, so you're on the job site. I don't know who you have particularly working here. My gut is to say there's probably K-parts clambering over the ship, just helping out. They love to pick up odd jobs. And Elfago is somewhere with a big tablet that they're etching into. That's because we don't really use paper down here, so it got some kind of big stone they're etching into. And you can supervise, you can roll, you can talk, whatever you want.
Boyce is probably just doing like various once-overs. They've swapped out their vest to a more high-vis version that has more bioluminescence going on. Listen, bioluminescent tracings here is just like, it's our form of reflective tape. You know what I mean? It's like, there's not much light down here. So you want to have things that inherently glow.
You made the ocean compliant joke already. I believe that is the heading in the Discord channel as well. But I should say about light, in this episode we've talked a lot about the different layers of the ocean. And in case anyone's Googling and being like, oh wait, are you supposed to be at this depth or this depth? I will say that the water and the sun in this biome work differently because of magic. And so when we talk about the layers, we're talking about the percentage of light that penetrates the water, not the depth in meters. I don't know if anybody cares. This is going to be 2 months before we get comments. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, but I agree. Basically, I would say that like at this current depth, it's not so much that like it's low visibility for those of normal vision. It's more the fact that like the quality of light coming down through the amount of basically refraction that is inherent with going through the water and such makes reflective tape surfaces a little bit less clean unless you're giving it some sort of light source that's more localized, which is possible, magic and everything else like that. I just think that in this circumstance, bioluminescence is the standard because it works irrespective of depth. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why when you're looking at how would someone logistically think this is like a traditional construction thing? That's where my head goes immediately. I think it was actually Sarah who initially threw out the idea of Boyce wearing like a high-vis jacket or something, and then that led me to think, okay, high-vis, bioluminescence.
Elfago waves you over at some point and says, do we need a foundation to anchor ship to seabed, or we are just float? We are just having wooden surface on sand here.
I think the final plan is we're going to dig out a little trench and get the front of the ship wedged in there, and then use that as sort of acting as foundation. And then as for the rear of the ship, we'll use some basic support structures to make sure that it's not liable to just sort of like seesaw itself back upright and launch anyone out who's on deck. So I think that's our basic plan right now.
All right, yes, trench structure, very nice. In fact, how come you do not use exploding stuff from crabs to make cave home in Zolfo?
Well, part of it is just the fact that there's not as many, cave structures we can rely on. I mean, you got trenches, obviously, you can kind of work off, and maybe some of the structures that come out around the vents, but it's not like we have an elaborate mountainous range out here. You know, there's the seas are almost uncannily, the floor here is uncannily, I would say, level, you know?
Yes, this does make cave community difficult. You know, I was working on a spell that perhaps could help, but it did not go so well.
Oh, what kind of spell were you thinking of there?
This is funny because you just mentioned that the terrain was flat. I don't know if we actually ever have talked about this in too much detail, but this was literally a thing in Elphago's backstory. So yeah, a weird coincidence that you asked that. They say, you know, transmutation spells, mold earth and move earth and things of this nature?
Oh, certainly, of course. I mean, when you're doing introduction to material magics, those are some of the foundations that they teach, of course.
Yes. Mold earth is cantrip, can only move little cube. Is not that helpful? Maybe, you know, to clear a little bit of land and put in posts. It's nice to have. Move earth is 6th level spell. 40 foot square. Very helpful, but can only move so much density. It cannot move metal or stone.
You know, there are other 6th level spells out there like flesh to stone. I could almost imagine like a sand to stone sort of thing you could do. That way you just move a large formation of sand, and that's almost like you do immediate concretion of it in order to turn it into some sort of stone structure.
I was attempting to go beyond 6th level to create original 9th level spell, a true terraforming that can move stone and metal and magic.
Well, that sounds mighty ambitious of you, but, you know, I mean, 9th level magic, that requires a certain degree of power, and honestly, sometimes some of the spells of that sort of magnitude end up being, I would say, a little dangerous to wield around without a little bit of caution.
Well, yes. Did you not hear how I die?
I have to be honest. They did not brief me on that detail.
Well, it is nice of them to not, I guess, spread around my information. Confidentiality HIPAA in this community is very ironclad. Apparently, I like this, but I assumed vibe checkers are telling everyone I disassemble whole body trying terraforming spell.
Well, that would explain things, you know. So you were trying to pull off this spell, and in doing so, almost unmade yourself in the process.
I would say unmade myself enough where it did not connect anymore, and I died.
Unplugged a couple too many cables there, and then.
Yes, I was thinking they are going to call it Elphago's Terraforma. This is like, you know, Mordekainen spell, or Tasha's Her Hideous Laughter, Melf's Acid Arrow. You do big spell, they name it after you. But I instead made Elphago's Self-Disassembly.
Well, listen, I'm pretty sure that somebody would still find that a fun brand name to ride with, but my question is, are you still planning on trying to make that spell work?
Well, I would love to, but it does requires ingredients impossible to get hands on. Components, I try to bully your orca friend to fight Kraken for me, but she does not do it. She is coward. She is scary. She is scared. And I cannot convince.
You know, maybe while we don't need the Kraken for the Whirl's fair here. Maybe there's something that can be done about that for other plans.
There is not much, como se dice, incentive to create Alfego's terraforming because this would destroy housing market, yes, my spell, where you could rise entire community with wave of your hand, as destroy many contractors.
I mean, to be fully that may be true. You know, I didn't come out here and I didn't get into this business to make money, as tried as that might sound. This is more of a personal project of mine, and my partner Ollie. You know, we came out here and we had a design in mind for how this whole area was going to look, and I just want to kind of see that through. And the main limitations, I said before, is just lack of material supply. But you know, something that can allow us to do some terraforming, maybe with a certain degree of control, it could help finish the project. And you know, I think the only person who's going to care about like market value for their properties or stuff like that are going to be the likes of the of the Baron and those in those sort of circles. And I don't consider myself aligned with their mentality about how this area should be managed and raised up.
Well, you are a wizard. If anyone could make new spell, perhaps you could help. I am, as you now know, not maybe the most magically inclined. I try to substitute kraken tentacle for squid and octopus, which is similar, but not the same. The spell got out of hand, and boom, all of my limbs in different directions. But if we can convince Reaper to kill Kraken, steal a tentacle, we could work together on spell that you could reshape the seabed and make mountainous regions. You could make cave homes. You could rise structures out of the ground. You could take to the surface. You could end homelessness forever. Very powerful spell. The thing is, transmutation magic, anyone who studies, they're like, yes, I could build home, or I could stop time. Hard decision. I think I will become Chrono Master.
If I wanted to stop time, I would have made that. If I had the power to stop time, the window for when I wanted to have done that has passed decades ago. So I'm not so much interested in stopping time, but you say end homelessness, and you got my attention there.